All right, you're here with us at prime time. It's that time, 7 o'clock. I hope you've got some good questions, and I hope you got some, you're going to learn some good stuff today. You're going to learn about buying houses and what you got to do to put yours on the market maybe, and, all kind of great stuff. I'm Jerry McKee, and welcome to Prime Time. You're going to be listening to Tamiann Adams, Cassie Ballard, and Greg Johnson. I probably done messed her name up already after I done said it 3 times. So I hope you enjoy this evening, and we're going to come back to you right after this commercial from...
Jewelry has the power to be this little thing that can make you feel unique. Being a true gentleman never goes out of fashion. People will stare. Make it worth their while. For the woman of your dreams and the jewelry of her dreams, rings, pins, and pendants, fabulous rubies, sparkling sapphires, brilliant diamonds. Keepsake Jewelers. We are the jewelers who understands what dreams are made of. Dreams of gold, dreams of emeralds, and dreams of diamonds in pins, rings, bracelets, and earrings. At Keepsake Jewelers, we have whatever it takes to make her dreams come true. Visit our new location, Keepsake Jewelers, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Suite 5, Union, 864-427-5100, 864-427-5100, Keepsake Jewelers, Union.
All right, we're back. You got... Cassie. Yeah, why can't I even know Cassie? Well. Can you change your name? No. Cassie Ballard. We got Tamiann Adams, and we're going to let you look over their pretty faces there. And we got Greg Johnson. He is on the line from Charlotte, North Carolina. And welcome, you guys. I appreciate y'all coming. Tamiann, tell us a little bit who you are and who you represent and what you do.
Okay, well, thank you for having us. My name is Tamiann. I am a resident of Union County for 17 years now, and I am in my 4th year of real estate and my 1st year with Berkshire Hathaway Sedan Joiner.
Well, great.
My name is Cassie. I'm actually just recently new in the mortgage business, about a year in with Go Mortgage, and I absolutely love everything about it and everything I do.
All right, and Greg, you introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, Greg Johnson. I'm currently living in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I do work out of the Spartanburg office with Cassie. I hate to say how many years I've been in this, but let's just put it in from the 90s.
Well, that's a short time.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this. Let's talk a little bit about interest rate, because everybody's wondering and curious about interest rates. Is it going to go up higher, and what, all the things that just blows their mind that maybe will keep them from maybe purchasing a home. So purchasing during high interest rate, tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so really, there's not a set interest rate. That takes so many factors of each individual person, their credit, their income, their length of history, delinquencies, everything goes into a part of taking their credit score. So to give one credit score for everybody, they're not going to get that.
Right. What is a good credit score that I know sometimes we don't have perfect ones. What is a good credit score for someone to really get into a good
Yeah.
home?
We start actually at a pretty low rate for Go Mortgage. Greg, can you reference what number that is? I think it's 520 with 10% down.
Yeah, we can definitely help some of our folks out that's got the lower credit scores. They are going to put a little bit more down because of the risk associated with that score, but we can help those individuals. And if we can't get those guys approved, what we want to do with those folks is to help them get their scores up. We can do credit counseling at no charge, and this is something that we want to help our valued customers get those scores higher to where we can get them in a house, because the rate is associated with a credit score. The better the score, the lower the rate, the better the product.
And probably a lot of people ask also about, well, what if I don't have a lot of income, or and that's a factor into it also, isn't it?
Doesn't factor more into credit as well as more as the purchase price and the overall monthly payments. So for me, when you give me your income, I'm going to take that, calculate it out how much it is per month. I'm going to pull your credit, see how much you have in debt. That's going to be your debt to income ratio. Then we're going to factor in how much a house is that you can afford. Most of the times we only go up to about 50% of your debt to income ratio with your house and all your other debts included. So for everyone, that's going to vary. And then I also like to ask, what is a good comfortable monthly payment for you compared to what do you want to purchase? Because sometimes we want a $400,000 home, but that's not in our budget yet. So starter homes, we kind of go off of that, and we just find where's a good comfortable range for you before you go out looking for homes.
Now, is it easier for someone to purchase a new home versus one that's already built? I mean, is it because a lot of people say, well, I can maybe afford or get one that's already built versus I'll never get one that I won't have built.
Well, I mean, there are different prices. So with Go Mortgage here in Spartanburg, we are actually preferred lenders with SK Builders. They have residents in Bowling Springs, Moore. There's one, I believe, one in Duncan, few all over the place, and we're preferred lenders with them. So when you go with us, you also get a seller credit that goes towards your down payment, your closing cost, buying down an interest rate to get a better rate, goes through all that. But they actually start homes in the mid 200s. So it's actually not as bad as most people think it is. If you want to do that, that's a great option because it's all new appliances, warranties. You don't have to worry about your floor being old or your ceiling being a few years old.
Right, because that's one thing that I was always kind of concerned about, and if you purchased one that was already built for so many years. Now, do you as a finance company, do you look at at the house as appraised, or do you rely on the realtor to help you out there?
Well, when we're first going under contract, we're going to look at that. But the appraisal is really what's going to come into play. If it does not appraise for the value, that can cause issues down the line.
Okay. Tamiann, when you're showing someone...
Secondly, we are going to look...
Go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, and I was going to say, and secondly, to kind of add on top of what Cassie's saying, is that as long as the house does not have any noted repairs that the lender is afraid to finance, we don't really care the age of the home. I mean, it could be, an older home. It could be a brand new home. It could be a manufactured home, modular home. At the end of the day, as Cassie said, we're going to look at the appraised value to make sure it's appraising for what the house is on the market for, and look for any kind of repairs. And we can work through those things as well, unless the seller just can't make those accommodations.
Now, Tamiann, when someone comes to you and says, "Look, I'm looking to purchase a home," what are some of the things you first talk to them about?
I pretty much try and, first of all, so make sure that they have a, approval and that they've taken care of their financing so that we can know that we're looking at houses that are appropriate matched.
So that's the very first step.
Yes.
That someone come to you and saying, "Okay, I want to purchase a home." That is the very first step that you recommend, or you have to have. Or
they need to provide a statement showing that they have cash if they're buying with cash.
Right.
Because it's a lot of work, and you have people that are, leaving their homes to let people come into them, and it's it's a hassle. So they want people coming into their homes that are qualified to buy
Right.
and serious. So other than that, I also try and figure out what their needs are, what they want versus their dream list, because
Right.
we all can dream, but try and get them focused on what size house they need, how many bedrooms, land, if they need a fenced yard. I love to ask about pets, because a lot of people won't even look at houses that don't have fenced yards. So really just trying to figure out what their needs are.
Yeah,
And
well, nowadays, people have got pets. It's like a family member, and they got to do all the extra taking care of and stuff like that. That now, when you said, "Do you get many to pay cash?"
so,
Have you ever had anyone to pay cash?
oh yes,
Really?
yes,
Wow.
yeah. I have somebody that actually is very serious about paying cash for a $400,000 home.
Wow.
I'll have a decision from them in a couple of days,
That's great.
and it's been verified.
That's even better.
Yes.
Now, when you on the buying side, now on the selling side, what are some of the tips that you can give someone if they're wanting to sell their home?
Okay, so if they're getting ready to list their house, it is good for them to call an appraiser sometimes and really get a good idea of what their house value is. Our area, Union, is a little bit harder to comp out because our sales are not in this radius of here 6 miles. There wasn't a whole lot to choose from, so I had to widen the search to get some data in.
Oh, well, yeah, and that's understandable because every area is a little bit different. Now, and when on the financing end, do you look at those areas? Is that a big factor?
Yes. So the appraiser would tell us and how far out the houses were, and sometimes that does include making the appraisal cost go up more. The farther out it is, the more research they have to do, the more they're going to charge for that appraisal.
In addition, they can do pre-inspections, so that way there's not a big surprise when the buyers go in and have a list of things they want done. Sometimes there's certain things that insurance requires. Maybe it's deck rails, different things. Now that when I can do a walkthrough, I can kind of gauge what may or may not need to be done, and then give them an idea from there. And a lot of people will just prefer to sell as is. Especially in the market right now, because they're buying.
Right.
So,
Now, what is the difference? Now, a lot of people think, so, well, my house, my tax value versus my appraisal, I know you probably get that a lot, and it is a difference, and people don't quite understand that. Could you elaborate on that?
I'm going to let Greg take that one over because that's a little bit more in his area.
So yeah, let's answer that question. So there are two types of appraisals when it comes to your home. And the first one is what's called a market appraisal. And that is where the appraiser will be assigned to go out to look at the house. He's going to now take that subject property and compare it to other homes of similarity that are recently sold. And he's going to come up with his opinion, her opinion of what is considered market value. An assessed value is where the county assessor will go out to your property and determine a taxable value to your house. So you want that number to be lower than the market value. So you're paying taxes on a lower number than you do on a true market value. So there's two different formulas. The formula that the tax assessor uses is going to be based on their criteria, and the appraiser for real estate is going to be using it based on current sales data.
Okay. Well, I was kind of wondering that myself because it was, I've heard that quite a bit, said, well, my tax value says this and I'm selling it for this. And, and then they kind of want to blend them both together a lot of times.
They do. And the thing is, you don't want to use your tax assessed value to sell it. You want to go out, as Tammy said, go out and have a real estate appraiser go out there and tell you what their opinion of value is, because you're probably going to find that market appraisal is going to come in a good bit more than that tax assessed value.
Oh, great. Tamiann, now, what is the advantage of, now I see in Spartanburg, Greenville, all around like that, they building these multitudes of apartments. And what is your opinion as far as buying versus rent?
Well, I think it's very important for people to buy as soon as they can start thinking about buying. Being able to hold real estate is valuable, and when you're just renting, you're not keeping any of your money. You're just giving it to somebody else and paying their value and putting money in their pocket. So I feel like I've actually myself never been a renter. I've always owned since I was 21 years old. And I've been able to take properties and step up. My first house was a condo. And then I bought a house on a mobile home on 5 acres. And then I bought a house that is, well, considered my forever home. So it took me steps to get up there. I wasn't 21 and able to buy my, the house that people think they can jump into right away.
Right.
So I always push to buy a house if they can work really hard at getting their finances in order. The sooner the better.
Okay. Well, we'll got a couple more questions on that right there. We'll be back right after this sponsor, Keepsake Jewelers.
Jewelry has the power to be this little thing that can make you feel unique. Being a true gentleman never goes out of fashion. People will stare. Make it worth their while. For the woman of your dreams and the jewelry of her dreams, rings, pins, and pendants, fabulous rubies, sparkling sapphires, brilliant diamonds. Keepsake Jewelers. We are the jewelers who understands what dreams are made of. Dreams of gold, dreams of emeralds, and dreams of diamonds in pins, rings, bracelets, and earrings. At Keepsake Jewelers, we have whatever it takes to make her dreams come true. Visit our new location, Keepsake Jewelers, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Suite 5, Union, 864-427-5100, 864-427-5100, Keepsake Jewelers, Union.
All right, we're back, and I hope you're learning some stuff on how to buy a house and how to, who knows? We're going to talk about a little bit about selling a little bit later on, too. If you're selling your house, you get some good hints from that. And Tamiann, we were talking about rent versus buying, and you mentioned condo. Now, a lot of people, even though you purchase a condo, you still have some expense there that you have to continue to do, correct? Or is that like, I know some condos that you buy.
I had homeowners homeowners dues.
Right,
Yeah.
and insurance for it, not insurance, but like the elevator breaks or you have some. Do you have some expense there that you have to incur with a condo versus a house?
Okay, so my particular property was actually a co-op, and a lot of people don't understand what that was. And with that one, I actually owned 1/40th of the entire property. So we would pay in to a homeowners association, and they would build the reserve to maintain the pool and parking, garages, and different things. Other than that, I didn't have any other expenses. Our insurance was part of the homeowner's dues for the exterior of the building, and then the interior to cover personal belongings and whatnot would have fallen under the same, like a renter's insurance for that situation.
Okay. Now, how does that work with in a financial institution like that? Is it easier to purchase a condo versus a house, or you just have to weigh that out?
Well, with condos, it can be a little bit more complicated. There are some questionnaires that have to be filled out. There are more stipulations towards it. We just closed a deal probably about 2 months ago with one. It just takes a little bit more time with them because it is not just like a regular home. There are other homes surrounding it. So you kind of have to take that into a factor as well.
Okay. Now, I know some properties, especially at resorts and like, for instance, Myrtle Beach and areas like that, you purchased a house, but you don't own the land. Is that a big problem or
Well, I've actually never run into that problem. Greg, have you?
No, it doesn't. I mean, that's kind of a given going into it, that you're buying the unit instead of the land that it sits on. And so it's really not an issue for us. Again, it's pretty much goes to the same type of issues that we have for any buyer. Do you qualify based on the payment? Does the house appraise? We have to add in the homeowners association dues into the debt income ratio. But if all of that checks out and the house passes all the inspections, then it's pretty much full steam ahead at that point.
All right, what is the current price per square foot ready to move in homes?
So in Union County right now, we're running at about 108 square feet. That's based off of a report I ran earlier today. And those are for like move-in ready homes. If you're selling one that's under, needs some work and TLC, that price can come in between $60 to $80 a square foot, depending on the size of the house and what all the work needs to be done.
Okay. Now, tell me, for instance, if I was seeing a house for sale and I seen on the sign that it was another realtor, are you able to sell that same house or show that house, even though maybe another realtor has it, or if someone contacted you?
So I can act as the buyer's agent on any property that is in the upstate where I cover the territory of. And if it's a listing that's not mine, I have access to schedule showings and get into the house just as easy as if it was my own listing.
Okay. Well, it's is it harder to do that because, or do you have to maybe I know the realtors got lists and stuff like that. Do you have to split?
So there is a commission split, but one thing about having a buyer's agent represent you versus using the seller, that the listing agent, you want to make sure that you're really being represented. You want to make sure that your best interests are protected. It's a little bit harder when you're going to represent both ends to really do that for your selling client and your buying agent. It's possible if, they pretty much have a price that's at the offer price or above. If you're going to start going lower, your seller is going to say, well, why are you doing that for me? But if you're not going to go lower, then your buyer is going to say, well, I want to go lower. It's just kind of not that. It's not easy, yeah. So it is allowed, but the seller and the buyer both have to agree that you're going to represent both of them.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, is it easier? No, some people think that it's almost like buying a car. You go in, you sign a little thing, and that's it right there. But it takes some time with the closing and stuff like it. Even is it more so with a already built home versus one that's being built, or is it stages in the one that's being built?
So I have both under contract at the moment. With an existing home, you can expect closing as long as the seller and the buyer can agree that that's a good time frame and the seller can get out of the home, 30 days. That's usually our average to get an appraisal, get title, get your file to underwriting, get it cleaned up, get all the paperwork and documents needed, signed, all that good stuff. But with a new build, for us example, with SK Builders, if you get pre-approved with me, you go to SK Builders and you tell them, I want this home. You'll sit down with them, you'll create a plan, they'll send it back to me with the contract, and then 2 months before it's done closing or building, that's when we go ahead and start finishing it up. Because if we go ahead and pull your credit, start getting the pre-approval done, and then send it to underwriting, it's going to sit there for 6 to 8 months because we can't go appraise the house until it's done. We can't go do the final inspections. You can't buy the house until it's completely done. So it's different for each end, but even 30 days, you can get it sooner than that. My first closing, actually, we had a clear to close in 7 days. I saved the deal, was already under contract. It was falling through, and my team came together, and we saved it within a week and a half. And he bought the house, and he's now living here.
Okay. Now, with the building of the house, is it now? Do you put is the money already there for the builder? Does the contractor get all the money at one time, or they get it in stages? Because I hear different ones for different contractors. They do different things.
So for a new build, if you're like doing with SK Builders, you're going to pay them at closing when the home's done. But if you're going under a construction loan, it can vary depending on the product. We have a one-time construction loan where you only close one time throughout the entire process instead of doing 2 closing calls. We just combine it into one. With mobile homes like Clayton Homes, we have a great product where we offer them 20% up front, 80% upon completion, 20% upon delivery. So every product is going to be different.
Okay. Yeah, I learned something there. I didn't know. I didn't know how they work that far. So, you sit there and you said, okay, I'm going to build a house. You got the money like that. I'm just wondering, is it how many different closing calls? Because it's different like that. You was going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, the moving time right now to get inspections ordered and appraisals, I had one house go under contract Tuesday, and then they came out and did the inspection the following day, and they did the appraisal the day after that. So they were starting with a 30-day close, but it's looking like it might be 24 days maybe. So if you get the right inspectors that come out in a hurry, then you kind of keep the timeline moving a little bit quicker too.
Is it
We've
harder?
had that as well.
Is it harder to get inspectors out there sometimes? I know with all these houses being built, and I know they have to be overwhelmed.
So I was actually challenged this week to find an inspector with the area I was in, Anderson stuff. I had a competing offer with 8 other offers. We went 10,000 over, asking for no repairs, but we did request a 3-day due diligence period. And that first one, it didn't work out. They wanted somebody that didn't want any due diligence period. But I recommend to all my buyers to do their due diligence and make sure they know what they're buying, because you can't always look at a house and know what's behind those walls, or if they've covered it up with put new walls up and just went over old mold or something. So I would never feel comfortable having a buyer buy that, without, especially if it's not one that they're planning on going in and rehabbing. If they know it's as is, and they're going to go in a rehab, that's a little bit different. They take on the risk there. But the appraisal challenge I had was the next time that we put an offer in, which was the next day, we tried to cut that down. And I had been told just at my last sales meeting by a fellow that they could do 2-day turnaround. So I thought I'd call them, and I did, and they weren't able to help, and I ended up reaching out. Berkshire has a very large network. We really pull together and pass information around, and now I have an inspection company that I think I'll probably always use, because I can go on and I can schedule it myself. I can see the dates available, the times available, and I was able to get next day inspection. So he was able to see the report and feel comfortable with it and get the go-ahead to, go ahead and have it appraised. So timelines are quite interesting right now. A month ago, I had no idea that an inspection could be done that quick. I had no idea.
Now, do some people, do they get someone to come in and inspect their house, say, privately without without either the county coming in or whatever like that? Is this what you're talking about as far as when house inspectors that will come in and for a fee and stuff, they come in and check everything? Mm-hmm. Have y'all used those or?
So we don't. I don't really look at the inspection that the home buyer is going to get.
They usually ask not to see it.
I only want the appraisal. Yeah. I don't want to know, because there are some things that the inspection is going to find that the appraiser says is not absolutely necessary to be lendable.
Right.
So I don't want to know what's going on behind the walls.
Yeah.
So as long as I just see what's necessary for the appraisal, and the sellers are willing to do that, then I'm good with it.
Because technically they don't have to have the inspection done.
No, it's not absolutely necessary, but it's very recommended.
Yes.
Right. And have you found any surprises?
Oh, yes, we have found lots of surprises. And actually, I feel like I've had plenty of people walk, and rightfully so. And I don't feel any kind of way about that, because my clients, I want them to buy something that I would also buy.
Right.
And if it's something that they aren't up for the challenge or don't have the means to do the work, it's best to just keep looking, because every day I'm sure you notice something new is popping up in the area. So.
Right. Now, what does he recommend when someone's looking at a house? What is some of the main factors that you want them to really look at? Not just come in and say, "Well, this is just pretty," but looking at some things that and bring it to their attention. What are some of these things that you recommend?
So a lot of times when I go in with buyers, I will send them in the house and let them look around. In the meantime, I'm outside kind of looking at the roof. I'm looking at the foundation and, exterior issues that kind of, maybe it's missing some sideboarding up top, or, something that might be due to water damage, something that to try and figure out what might have caused that. And then once they come outside, I go inside, because first I just kind of go in and turn all the lights. Usually we're on a schedule going from one house to the next. I'm not always getting there before them. We're right together. I go inside, and I in the older homes especially, I kind of feel around on the floors for any soft spots that I might see. I look for water damage in the house, and just really foundation and roof seems to be the most important. And then having the plumbing inspected is always important as well.
Right. Well, I tell you what, we're going to be right back. We'll talk about some plumbing and some things here in just a moment. We'll let our sponsor, Keepsake Jewelers, come back again with us as we're at the 30-minute mark, and we'll be right back.
Jewelry has the power to be this little thing that can make you feel unique. Being a true gentleman never goes out of fashion. People will stare. Make it worth their while. For the woman of your dreams and the jewelry of her dreams, rings, pins, and pendants, fabulous rubies, sparkling sapphires, brilliant diamonds. Keepsake Jewelers. We are the jewelers who understands what dreams are made of. Dreams of gold, dreams of emeralds, and dreams of diamonds in pins, rings, bracelets, and earrings. At Keepsake Jewelers, we have whatever it takes to make her dreams come true. Visit our new location, Keepsake Jewelers, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Suite 5, Union, 864-427-5100, 864-427-5100, Keepsake Jewelers, Union.
Okay, we're back, and hope you're enjoying the show and get some lot of information. I tell you what, we're talking to Cassie Ballard and Tammy Adams, and we are talking to Greg Johnson in Charlotte, and we're finding out how this stuff works, buying houses. We're going to talk a little bit about selling houses here in just a moment too. Now, Tamiann, now, what is the responsibility of a seller as far as disclosing everything on their house? Is it, what do you tell a seller that's going to sell their house, some of the things that they really need to be open with?
Okay, so the seller actually has a form that I am not permitted to fill out. They're the only ones that are permitted to fill it out. It is called the seller's disclosure statement. It is loaded with all of the information about the house, everything you can think of. And they are to fill out as much information as they know about that. However, there are some situations where a seller's disclosure is not required if they haven't lived in the house previously, if they had just purchased it and turned around to to sell it. So sometimes there is not a seller's disclosure. For lead paint disclosure, any house built 1978 or prior, it is required to have a lead paint disclosure, whether that it has lead paint or not. If they have had an inspection done previously and they know and they have a report, they have to also provide that information. So information that they know and they don't report, I have no way of knowing what they know or don't know because it's not my property.
Right.
And so I have to trust them, and it's all done through legal documents. They're signing legal documents. So we hope that they're honest as they can possibly be with those sellers' disclosures.
Cassie, if someone, can they fill the application out online or in person? And usually what's the turnaround about approval rate?
Yeah, so I actually have a website you can go to fill out the application, QR code you can scan, or you can call me or come in person and do it. Super easy. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes, but I usually take a little bit longer because I like to get to know you. I like to know who your family is and why you're buying the house, your situation, just like Tamiann does. I felt like that gives you a little bit more of an understanding of who they are and their situation. But turnaround time, it just varies for each person. So let's say if they want to include their overtime, I need to get some papers signed up that they can send me their income documents, and I need to look over the past 2 years of overtime, and I need to calculate that. If they're self-employed, I need to get tax returns. I need to run estimates on that. I need to run that through our calculators. Because if you say you made $80,000 last year, but you claimed a lot of it, and it says you only made $32,000, that's a big difference of what you tell me versus what we calculate. So usually turnaround times, you can expect anywhere from end of day to maybe 24 to 48 hours, just depending on the situation.
Okay. And what kind of income that you look at? Because a lot of people have different ones, like you said, from being in the business themselves or doing things on the side. You probably hear that, oh yeah, I'll make this on the side here. But they actually got to have some type of proof, right?
Yeah, so we do what's called a verification of employment when we get down the line. Usually one of the administrative assistants is going to do this. They're going to verify that you're an employer there. We have automated systems, so if you don't tell us about one of the jobs and it pops up, we're going to have to put that on there because there are some places where I need to know. For example, I do state housing where it's down payment assistance program. There are income caps. If you go over that income cap, you no longer qualify for that down payment. That comes with a really great interest rate. And it's super easy. You're good, sweetie. But, so we'll find that out. So just try to be upfront as much as possible. If it's a part-time job, you need to be at that part-time job for 2 years because we take the average of hours and we take that and do that. If it's a full-time job, you can be at a couple different ones, but we still need a full 2-year history. Self-employed, we need 2 years of tax returns.
No. And speaking of the time frame there, what time frame is it? Say, for instance, guy just been working at a job for a year. Is there some situations that that won't make any difference, or do you look at the job history? Because you got some people I know that go from every 6 months or so, change this and change that. Is that a factor?
It can. So for full-time, we want a full 2-year history. So let's say if you were working at one doctor's office and you went to the next one, that's in the same field. So we're good with that. But if you're continuously changing jobs, that kind of looks a little sketchy and it might not work out for the best for you. So you want to try to stay with your job as long as possible or stay in that field when you're trying to get in the pre-approval process.
Now, do you count in like alimony, child support, and
that's one of the questions I would go over with you is, do you pay alimony or child support, or do you receive any? Because that if you receive it and you were scheduled to receive it for a few more years, depending on the child's age, we can actually include that in your income. Now, say if the child's 17, we're not going to include that because you're not going to get it for a year or less.
right?
So it varies for every situation, but we are going to ask you about every source of income you have.
Okay, and that's including government assistance and things again. Okay, well that's good to know because a lot of people don't know that. They think that this is
I'm so sorry.
They don't have to add that to it, and just anything that's going to increase their salary on them. Okay. Now,
Well, the thing is, they don't have that. They don't have to add that to their income, but if they need it to qualify, we would at that point.
right. Okay.
Only time is like, again, with state housing or any of these down payment assistance bond programs that have income caps. We need to know about all that so you don't disqualify yourself by not telling us about something.
Right. Okay. Because I know, Greg, you just made a good point there about someone maybe getting a little low and not qualifying quite as much, but if they had just over that limit, and they might be doing something. So, well, I've been doing this for long time getting paid for this here and verification on it, that would help them quite a bit.
Making
It
them to
would,
make a
and
difference.
let's talk about that. Yeah, like if it's a part-time job, there's a little difference in that, though. I mean, that you've got to have a 2-year continuous history of us to use that. If not, we can't use that income, even if you bring us pay stubs, because that is more in line of seasonal type, temporary type income. So you need to show a elongated history of receiving that income.
Yeah, that makes good sense because you got a lot of people will go do something part time during the summertime, to get a little extra income, or just, that maybe it's just a seasonal thing. Huh. Well, it seems like that. Where I know you said they can call you and stuff like that. You can let people know where they can find you and.
Yeah. So I have a Teams number that I like to use that goes directly to my phone. That way I know it's more of a work phone call compared to calling my cell phone number. That number is 864-768-3469. If you search on Google, Go Mortgage Cassie Ballard, you're going to find my website right there. It's going to say apply now, or you're going to find also my phone number again, or even my email address, which is cballard@gomortgage.com.
Well, that's a good place. And Tammy, how can they find you?
So, I'm sorry I keep coughing, y'all. I'm trying to get over this. My website is tamiann.com, TAMIANN.com, and my listings are there. I currently have 3 listings that are live, and I'll have 2 more there tomorrow. And 4 of those are in Union County, and 1 of them is in Cherokee County.
Oh, well, that's how they can get a hold of y'all. And you know what? If you Google Primetime with Jerry McKee, you'll get a lot of stuff plopped up there too. So if you want to take a shortcut, that is. And if I want to sell my house and you walk in and I said, okay, I want to sell my house. What are some of the tips? What are some of the things that you can tell me about being a seller that's going to help me sell my house?
A lot of it would be taking down personal photos and whatnot, so that way when you take pictures, you have buyers that are like not just focused on extra things, really cleaning up, tidying, like looking around here, everything is beautiful. That would be really my only suggestion. Would say, to take down the family portraits and pictures. Just
there goes a picture of me.
especially we don't really care to post it all over the internet. It goes worldwide. So just if they have concerns about their privacy, I tell people to put up items that they don't want to be published online. And then sometimes a good power wash is good for the exterior of a house or an awning. It makes a big difference in a front page, a picture on the front of the listing. So.
Or even lawn care.
Lawn
I've had
care.
a few people who have been pre-approved. They'll actually go drive by the house before they even talk to their agent about going to see this house. And if it's unkept, they're not going to want to go in there.
Right.
I've had a lot of people turn away from that.
Because they probably figure if it's outside, if it's growed up and stuff like that, then
The inside is, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's actually, I just had on my way here one of the listings that went live today. The seller asked me, do I have anybody local that I can call to cut my grass? And I said, I sure do. Alexander's Upstate Services, and that's actually my son and my brother, and they are LLC'd, and they've been busy doing a lot of work for the clients that I have because first I would give them other numbers, but a lot of the people that are local, they have a lot of business and they're busy. So I called my son for one, and now he's been busy ever since.
Well, that's good that you have a list of people that you can use that they can say, and that lets them know that they make you feel comfortable too, that, hey, this person knows these people here, and when you recommend someone, you stand behind that person. You just don't recommend anyone that's not going to do a good job.
That's correct, and I really am happy because the feedback I've been getting from them and the pictures I've seen of their work. My brother and son, they've been doing work for a long time, but to actually send them to somebody's house and make sure that they do an appropriate job, that was a little bit of, it took me a bit before I actually did refer them to, so I needed to see them being consistent and, showing up to places on time, and they're doing a fabulous job.
Now, do you recommend when you walk into some of these houses, and I've come in some of the houses, as far as not needing painting, but you walk in and there's this blue room and there's this red room and there's this yellow room. Does the multiple colors, is it harder to sell the multiple colors than it is a
So
blend?
you'll see a lot of investors will go in and they use agreeable gray. Right now, that's the big thing. In the 80s, it was eggshell white. I remember my grandma. My grandma was a broker for 30 years, so real estate has been a part of my life forever. But now everywhere I go, I see that gray, and that's pretty much what's standard. I have one listing right now that is beautiful, but you do walk in and the living room is yellow and the kitchen is blue and there's a bathroom that's a different yellow and there's a bedroom that's green and there's a bedroom that's pink. The master bedroom is a perfect neutral color, and I wish that the whole house had been just painted one color because that buyers don't want to do work if they want to buy a move-in ready house, but paint's one of the easiest things they can do.
Yeah, and that's to me, if I bought something, I don't want to work on it. I don't want to have to build onto it or build a porch or build this and this right here. If I just purchased it right then, I want to go in and just relax like that. Now, I've heard all kind of stories like, oh, well, I've heard about the pictures, take your personal pictures down. Other pictures is okay, but, take some of those down. It makes it look more. But they says, and light some candles. One that's kind of like a bread baking.
I haven't smelled anything since like December of 2022, I think. So when I go into houses now, I sometimes have to bring one of my children to tell me if it smells moldy or not when they're in there, because I need to make sure that my sellers that are out of state know what they're getting into.
Right.
So candles are helpful and peaceful. You especially want to have some oil burning if you have pets in the house or cats. We did one showing a few years ago, and this lady had so many cats, but I could smell then. It smelled beautiful in her house, and she had regulated it very well. So smell is definitely important for those that can smell.
So before somebody comes and looks at your house, you don't cook a pot of greens.
No, and actually,
Maybe some cookies instead.
recently, about a month ago, I went into a showing, and the tenant was there, and she was frying fish, and I actually I sometimes get these phantom smells, and the lady that was buying, she didn't want to stay in that house. She walked right out pretty much within 15 minutes she was in and out the whole property quick.
Now,
So.
the flooring, some people have mixed emotions as far as carpet versus hardwood floors. What is the trend now for that?
It seems to be the luxury vinyl plank is becoming more and more popular. They're kind of skipping over the laminate flooring and going with the LVP.
Well, it's really like DIY friendly too. So a lot of home buyers like to do those kind of works instead of having to do it and pay a contractor. You can learn how to do it at home. So
Right.
a lot of those things are becoming really popular.
Okay. And what do you look for as far as in plumbing?
Well, I don't crawl under houses. I would never do that. Don't anybody else do that. You can get MRSA, which is very dangerous. But really making sure that there would be no leaks. And I actually had one house in Lawrence a few years ago, and when the inspector went under the house, the bathroom had nothing. It was draining to nothing. It was draining just to under the house. So that had to be repaired in order to close. So that so far is really one of the only things I have ran into where the plumbing was an issue.
Now, when the women folks come into the house, first thing they go look at that kitchen.
Oh, yes.
And is it, as far as cabinet space, is that one of the main?
People love storage, any kind of storage, extra storage and cupboards and anything pantry-wise. When they don't have pantries, that's a little bit more difficult. So kitchens are definitely a big one.
Right. Well, we're going to come back right after this message here. We got one last message to go here, and we're going to come back and talk about some of the outside appearance versus, we've talked a little bit about the inside and with some of the things there. We're going to talk about a little bit of what is outside, some of the things that we can do to improve selling our house.
Jewelry has the power to be this little thing that can make you feel unique. Being a true gentleman never goes out of fashion. People will stare. Make it worth their while. For the woman of your dreams and the jewelry of her dreams, rings, pins, and pendants, fabulous rubies, sparkling sapphires, brilliant diamonds. Keepsake Jewelers. We are the jewelers who understands what dreams are made of. Dreams of gold, dreams of emeralds, and dreams of diamonds in pins, rings, bracelets, and earrings. At Keepsake Jewelers, we have whatever it takes to make her dreams come true. Visit our new location, Keepsake Jewelers, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Suite 5, Union, 864-427-5100, 864-427-5100, Keepsake Jewelers, Union.
All right, we're back, and we've been learning a lot of stuff that we need to kind of do to our houses to sell them, and I want people to buy them. So you don't cook fish, don't cook greens, okay, when you want to show your house. All right, hey, if you want to become a real estate agent, Tammy, how can someone just say, if I want to get into real estate, what is the first step they got to do?
So the first step is 90 hours of a class. But in addition to that, you do have to have a background check. You have to go through the LLR and make sure that you are all clear to even take the test once the state test is available. They won't let you test unless you've had your background check done. And then in addition to that, finding a good brokerage to work under. I made the mistake when I got started. I felt like because I was my grandma's right-hand little girl always, I knew what I was going to do. And she didn't have the internet, so I thought, well, I have all the tools and resources. I could find them myself. I went with a unknown virtual company, and everybody even got the name mixed up. So I am so excited I found Berkshire Hathaway, because they don't just provide you with tools and resources. They provide you with ongoing classes that help you build your business and help you grow, just keeping things in order. And there's a lot more to it. I've been told by somebody once that I'm just opening doors. And of course I didn't say anything, but it was one of the most insulting things I've really ever heard, because there is so much work that goes into just even before you go see the house, scheduling it, looking at property tax information, pulling reports on it, CMAs, and just one house alone. And if somebody's scheduling 4 or 5, that could take,
Take a lot of time.
2 to 3 hours, and trying to find time that's undistracted in real estate is becoming, it's not really a possibility. So I'm always trying to do more than I should, but there's not enough time in the day to wait. But picking the right brokerage and taking advantage of any of the classes that they have in addition. Most of them are complimentary and part of it, but there's also training sessions that when I'm already signed up. I haven't signed up yet, but I've already obligated myself to it in January. It's called the Ninja Selling Program, and it actually is a $1,000 program, and that's with a discount. But I feel like the people that have gone through the class and everything, they've done so well, I can't not take the class. I have to know what they're learning in there.
Now, in a license, do you have to take a test?
Yeah, so you have to take 2 different tests, a national and a state test. And for me, one of them I passed on my first try, and then the second, I only had to go back and do the one that I didn't. I don't have to take them both again. The second one I actually passed on my birthday, so I was pretty happy that day. And The testing is in Greenville. You can do your classes if you decide to go with Berkshire. For example, they now have the CDAN Joiner Academy, so they have offered their own classes through LLR, and that's actually brand new. They just got started with that. They have online options and in person. So I think if you do the online option, they actually let you do it at your time, and I think you have a whole year to do it. For me, I went to Spartanburg Community College, and I was working full-time at a mortuary affairs company. So I did Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I hightailed it down there and got home at 10 o'clock at night, and I just did it, got the hours out of the way as soon as I could. They also offer a class that's just 2 weeks, and you go Monday through Thursday or whichever, and you just kind of knock it out. Then there's a second class that comes after. So,
And how old do you need to be?
so for real estate, you can be 18 years of age. You can be any age to actually purchase real estate or sell, actually. Believe it or not, there's some interesting stuff behind that. And you also have to at least have a GED.
Right. Now, you said you got some monthly in-person sessions starting in September and May through to May, or
So what I'm actually getting ready to do is the Berkshire Hathaway has started, I guess the marketing is for Forever Agent. So
Right.
I can start helping people before they're ever ready to purchase a home. And me personally, I'm not sure about other agents. I start them as early as 16 years of age. So I'm going to be offering in September real estate planning service sessions, and that will help people figure out where they're at right now, where they want to be in either 6 months or a year, or maybe they have a 3-year plan. It depends on what they're doing. Or if they're looking to become investors and they want to get more information. So these sessions are going to be held monthly, and I will have a calendar released later in August for that. And they are complimentary. There's no charge. And they'll be group sessions, but then individualized while we're there. So.
okay. Great. Now, Cassie, if someone wants to get into finance,
I would say the first thing is, one, go talk to somebody that's doing it. Get a feel of it and decide if that's for you. At that point, you would kind of talk to them and see if you would like to go retail, like go mortgages, or if you would like to go to the brokered side. There's a lot of differences between them, but just see whichever is best for you in your situation, and then find a class. They offer in-person classes, virtual, ones where you can kind of do screen share and you can learn with people. For me, I went and found Darren Stroud at Go Mortgage. He's my branch manager, and just started talking to him. And I found myself at peace, like I was with family.
That's how
And I knew that I was at the right place. And he took me under his wing. His family did. The whole office did, even while I was in a learning process. So you can take your course, you can choose your path, how long it takes based off of the course that you buy. You do have to purchase it. And I definitely recommend doing some exam preps, buying those, because it is a very hard test. I will say that's the hardest test I've ever taken in my entire life. And I was really good in school, but that was really hard. I passed with 2 points to spare. And it's very hard to pass on your first time. Greg, what the percentage of passing on your first time is what, like 40%?
It's pretty low.
Yeah,
But, you know, but Cassie said, you know, the more preparation you can do, the better. But you know, the overriding factor for both of us, as far as Tammy and Cassie and I are concerned, is we just want to help people. So you know, the education that we put into this is for a reason, so we can give you the best service that we can to and convey that to our clientele, and it's worth every minute. And we are glad that we're able to do what we do.
you got to love math.
Well, honestly, I mean, you got to be a little good at it. But, I mean, our computer system, once you learn the basics of it, you put the numbers in the computer, it's going to figure it out for you. Or I had to sit down with Greg a few days ago, and we came up and calculated some numbers together because we were both getting a little bit different than what our underwriters were getting. So that's where you come together as a team and do a whole effort. It's not a competition between us. We want all of us to succeed.
Well, my son, he teaches math, so he's going to be very disappointed that they can use a computer to do all this, but he knows that already.
It's nice to know the basics. to be able to, like, if someone were to come to me and say, hey, how much do you think I potentially could get pre-approved for based off of if my credit was this and my income was this, my debts were this. You should be able to, if you learned enough in your classes, to do that on your phone or on some sheet of paper without getting into the system.
Well, the great thing about both of you, you get to meet a lot of people, different people. Every day is different. It's not just like doing the same, just gets boring.
That's right.
But I see people get in there and says, well, I've been working this one job, pushing this one button the whole time. That would drive me nuts.
Yeah, it's a new challenge every day. I learn something every day. I do.
And that's great. I mean, and you've been doing this how long?
Just about a year. When I passed my test, I was so excited. When I tell you I felt like family, I didn't even call my mom first and tell her. I called my branch manager, Darren, and told him first before I told anybody in my family, because I was just so excited that he took a leap of faith on me, because you do also have to have somebody to be sponsoring you when you go to pass your exam and get your background check and your fingerprints done. So you have to make that connection. You have to find a sponsor. Yeah, thank you, Todd Colhill.
And that's great that you have a company that's willing to take you under their wing to help you show the ropes and how to show different things that's going to build your career. It's not just a job, it's a career. And that's what you're looking at.
And that's what exactly I get from my team. Like Greg, he joined in tonight. He's in Charlotte. He didn't have to do this. He doesn't get paid to do this, but my team, all of us were one big family, truly.
Well, I appreciate both of you. It's at that 8 hours. We can hear all these clocks going off. Cassie, appreciate you taking the time, coming out to explain some of the financial issues that people can run across and that maybe answer their questions. And Tammy, I know that a lot of people selling houses or going to buy houses has gotten what they wanted from that. So I hope they'll give you both a call to get this ball rolling for their lives and maybe start a new program with them.
Yeah,
Greg,
really excited to meet anybody that's interested.
And Greg, I appreciate you being on also and your input.
Well, thanks for having me.
And so, guys, I just really appreciate you both. And we're going to switch over now because we're getting ready to close out.
Thank you, Jerry.
And all right, I'm Jerry McKee, starting this ZZ Top again at the end of it. Thank you for listening in. You've been listening to some wonderful, wonderful advice here. And I'll cut my music off now because it won't cut off on me. Anyway, stay tuned for next Monday. We're going to have a guy on here that's got a book out, stabbed 4 times, shot 16. So, and he's live to be on our show to talk about it. So we're going to find out some things like that. So you have a great night. I'm Jerry McKee and with Prime Time, and we're here every Monday at 7 o'clock. Have a good night.